I'm the lead product manager here at IC. I'm working closely with the product team to make sure that we could continue to deliver this great product to all of our customers. So I'll just get right into it. As Jasmine already mentioned, the presentation today is around SharePoint and how to get more of it. Okay. Jasmine, could you move this? Okay. So before we go into differences or before I speak more on differences, I'd just like to talk about how previously, our current product IC2 never really integrated well with SharePoint or the Microsoft Suite, aside from just the SSO. And we've kind of figured from our, discovery, research, and in building IC3 that there's a lot of our customers already invested heavily on the Microsoft suite. So that's Microsoft Teams, OneDrive, and already using SharePoint to some form of degree. And sometimes it's not clear what the differences are or how both of them can be used. So the major difference here is SharePoint is mostly, document storage and file sharing, some Teams collaboration, and then obviously integrates properly with the entire Microsoft suite like Teams, OneDrive, and so on. What the intranet is generally, an IC3 is around a layer on top of that. So once you're done building your document, once you're done collaborating on changes and you want to turn it into a new policy, some new standards, right? That's where the intranet strength is. So as you can see in the difference here, is mostly around the employee experience and communication hub. So making things giving the control away from just IT or a certain group of people to every single admin or internet manager, centralized news, constant branding, and most importantly, the built-in governance and personalization. So you're able to see who has read what, who is using what, and being able to manage that in a couple of clicks. So that's it for differences. Um, Talking about the how SharePoint is going to work in IC3. There are three layers on top of it, right? Of course, we already know using, the AD sync or any form of authentication and having one central source of truth for your employee details. So that's where the first layer is being able to log in with your Microsoft 365 credentials, not creating local intranet users to just keep things synced and stay true. The next step for this is using your files. Previously, you'd had to work on Microsoft Word, download that file in the PDF, and then put it on the intranet to make sure that everyone could do that. But that's kind of workflow has changed in IC3. And right now, what happens is you could still keep your file on SharePoint and be collaborating or publishing that to the intranet. And lastly, it's the search. You know, keep the intranet as the one central place and have everyone in the company and all users have one place to search for documents that they're using. So both the ones that are stored on the intranet and the ones that are shared on SharePoint, you could search through both just through the intranet. So that's the core layer of how the intranet supports the SharePoint integration. Yeah, so before I get right into the demo, there are a couple of things that I would just like to touch on in terms of what's going to be important for this demo. Is see the internet as the front door to a lot of your day-to-day tools, mostly SharePoint, and then use SharePoint for what is strong at, which is collaborating and using on a day-to-day basis. Use the internet instead. So this is kind of how my demo is going to go today. We'll start with showing how the internet is the front door, how collaboration can still continue on SharePoint, and then searching one place and getting one answer for whatever you're looking for. So let me just share my screen now. Okay, setting up right here. So, can you see my screen? Okay. I forgot I was in a demo for a moment. I was asking. I'm guessing everyone can see my screen. Okay. So this is the intranet, right? This is the homepage of our intranet. And the user I have right here is an intranet admin called Kelly Bistro. which is an account that is coming from the Microsoft 365. So that first key point of being able to log in with your Microsoft 365 is already achieved. I think the first core thing I would like to show is how search works. You know, regardless of where your documents are stored, it's easy for you to search for it on the internet as long as that permission has been granted. So this is a working case study that I'm collaborating with Jasmine on, for example, and I'm just trying to find this in one central place. So I'm here on the intranet as usual, as you're already familiar with. It's just simple searching that. And then different result does come out, for some things that are relating to that that's stored on the intranet. And of course, as you can see, the SharePoint documentation. Um, it's also very possible for you to simply show just SharePoint results if that's a preference, or you just want to search through SharePoint on the internet, and then you find results like that. So this is a very small lift in terms of delivering this functionality, but we find this very impactful because you don't have to go to different places, store different versions of your files, and find them easily. So that's the very, very basic and I would argue most important use case. Another one right here that we've kind of done too is around aiding that collaboration. So I'm going to go into my marketing site. So this is a marketing site, and these are a bunch of all of the case studies we're working on, right? Um, everyone in the marketing team has this site opened on their personal computers. And then rather than trying to find what folder this is stored on, you could just publish that on a widget on the intranet, and you know, is it clicking on which one you want to, on which one you're working on right now, making the changes there, and it reflecting automatically on the intranet. So one step above just searching is that. So I'm just gonna go through what the setup for that looks like. So this is one that I already created, but let's just create one live here together. So I just create a widget section, add um a SharePoint widget, and it shows me all the SharePoint folders that I do have permission for. One keynote is SharePoint permission still applies. So regardless of who is using it on the internet, if they don't have the permission on SharePoint, they would not be able to make any changes to those documentations. So all of those permissions are still going to come over. So for example, in my use case, these are the ones that I do have access to. So I could simply look into what folder I'm trying to get public on the internet, and simply publish that and make sure that my entire team has access to that particular um, functionality on the intranet. So this just aids collaboration. So those are the two key ways that we're handling the problem of being that layer on top of SharePoint. The first one is around making search easy, making sure that you can search the same place for um, everything you're using, and also aiding the ability to collaborate. Now, my next use case is around what the internet gives you on top of your investment on SharePoint that you know that really stands out as a value prop. So I'm going to bring up uh sites that I'm using currently, because this is more of an internal example of what we're doing, because we're dogfooding this and testing this as a team. So I'm going to go into my product sites, for example. It's loading up here. So this is my product site that my team and I collaborate with on a day-to-day basis. So previously, I'd have had to save some of my documents in PDF, or then publish it here before I could add a new version, or add a read and confirm to my entire team. But that doesn't work anymore in that manner, right? So I could simply come into the site, and let's just call this prep for Launchpad, and I'm trying to attach a document, right? So again, same flow as creating the widget, some sites that I do have permission over. So this is product, and some of our existing documentation. So I'm just going to go into one of this at the PID, for example, accessibility, and attach it to this particular app item. Now, what makes it different than before is I can also add a read and confirm on top of that. So I'm just going to come in here, look at my team. Okay, the development team and product team. I want to make sure that the my team reviews these documents and confirm that they've read this, right? That's what I'm trying to do in this use case. So simply just following all the existing flow we have for read and confirm version history, but making it easier to still publish those SharePoint documentations is a major key change for these use cases. So yes, so I've done that already, and it means that everyone on my team goes there, they see this. So this just saves content editors, content creators the time from having to you know download a document and upload the document and just do this in a couple of clicks. And lastly, we could always go back to to the governance center and try to see, oh, this is the read and confirm I just said. Has anyone read that yet? Some people have, some people have not. And make further decisions like notify by email, go into details. I see, oh, I haven't read it yet. You can either re-notify or just take actions like audit trail, keep an audit trail of those functionalities. So that's the key piece that I think makes the intranet stronger than it used to be. It's just layering on top of what you're already using day to day on SharePoint and taking it a step further. So those are the core things. And then finally, I would just like to show what the setup is like. So the setup is quite easy for this integration. Once you allow all of the permissions necessary, it comes along with setting up the authentication. So of course you already have the Azure Sync that brings in what groups you want to have on the intranet. So this is getting more into who can log in, what groups should have the access to the intranet. So that's the second step. And then one more step would be in your security and permissions, login authentication. Once this is set up, it's just a simple checkbox to allow that SharePoint integration or not. Nothing else or doesn't require any more technical steps. So once all of these details are kept on the intranet and that checkbox is filled, you would be able to access the SharePoint integration. Yeah, that's pretty much the end-to-end flow of how the intranet is a step on top of SharePoint. There's always the misconception that the SharePoint completely replaces the intranet. But I think what we've observed is the core job of the intranet in making things easy for teams and making IT focus on what's more important, but allowing every other content owning team own their areas is still where the intranet is strong. So yes, with SharePoint Online, you're able to with SharePoint Online, you're able to make you do some form of communications, do some form of collaborations, but it's still lacking that overall governance. It's still lacking that ease of use without constantly having to reach out to IT. And then lastly, most importantly, it still um it still lacks that customization that's necessary for um day-to-day users. So that's pretty much everything regarding SharePoint integration. I'm guessing this is time for questions, Jasmine.